Welcome to the Youngpreneur podcast, a show for young and aspiring entrepreneurs who want to start or scale their own business. Our podcast is dedicated to helping young people find a community and resources to start and grow their businesses. Hosted by Charlotte Enever and Linda Reed Enever, our passion is seeing the future of business grow.
Hi, welcome to the Youngpreneur Society podcast. I'm your host, Charlotte Enever, and joining me today is Mel White. Mel, would you like to give us an introduction to yourself and about your business, please?
Yes, thank you, Charlotte. So I'm really excited to be here today. My name's Mel. I'm a parent coach and a youth mentor. And my business is called Mel White Parent Coach, really straight to the point. I wanted to make sure it was super clear that people knew what it is that I do from day one. But essentially, I work with parents and teenagers concurrently, which I guess is like one of the biggest differences between myself and other mentors or coaches is that normally it's one or the other, but I just found that there was a need for both. So that is what I do. And I work across the globe. So I have a lot of clients overseas and in Australia as well. The vision overall for me personally to do with parent coaching and mentoring young people is basically to ensure that they have a better future experience than generations past. And that starts with parents basically unlearning and being able to be open to new things and being curious. Whether you're, a teenager who's just struggling with school and peer pressure or getting along with your parents, maybe you are super ambitious and independent and just want that freedom. Just know that it's possible and that anything can happen.
I find it so amazing that you just saw that gap and were able to fill it. Never seen anything like you.
Yeah, it's really, it's an interesting space to be in for sure. And it comes with its own set of challenges, but I love it nonetheless.
I love it. It's so exciting. So what inspired you to start your business?
Good question. It's going to sound really woo-woo and weird, but I'm going to share it regardless, is that I was actually on a retreat. So my previous career was in the corporate world as like really high up marketing, doing digital marketing, head of different regions kind of thing at different corporates. And I took myself on this retreat because I thought I'm going through burnout. I'm really stressed. Am I enjoying this still? The common questions that run through your mind at age 25. So I went on this 2-week retreat and it was amazing. We were doing yoga every day and meditation and all the classic, Bali retreat. However you're picturing it in your mind is exactly what it was. But on the last day, we did something different that I'd never done before. It was like a meditation, but instead of just sort of sitting there in your thoughts, it was actually to reflect. So we spent like an hour straight after the meditation journaling. And what came up for me was this vision of all these women and girls sort of surrounding me. And I just remember it being a really weird vision in that there was like this glass bottom floor and it was sort of reflecting back at me. And it was a very powerful visual. And I just thought, that's got to mean something. I can't just, sleep on that. And then I literally slept on it that night and woke up in the morning and I was like, this is my purpose. This is what I'm going to do. And started with the youth mentoring, thinking that was where it was going. And then from there, I just saw that need and I went, okay, it's all well and good. I'm doing great work with these teens, but then they go home and their parents have no idea how to help support and develop the skills and tools that they're learning. I know, a bit of an interesting story, but that's how we got here.
That is so amazing, though. I love just the fact that it came to you as a vision, especially through meditation, is so amazing.
I wasn't expecting it by any means, but yeah, you got to be open to what the universe gives you for sure.
You came into business through the corporate world. Yeah. How did you find that change between being an employee to being self-employed?
It was interesting. I had run my own businesses back when I was like 17, 18. I'd run a couple of small businesses myself. So I'd had a little bit of experience being an entrepreneur. I ran a fitness business. I was a personal trainer when I was younger and did that sort of thing. Then I ran a t-shirt company and just like whatever my creative juices were flowing at the time. So I'd had like a little bit of inkling of what was involved, but not to the point of, okay, this is my purpose. This is what I'm going to do for the rest of my life. So it was a bit daunting. I guess the biggest top of mind for most entrepreneurs is money, right? So that's your biggest risk factor. That's your biggest change. And definitely was a shock and it's hard. I'm very lucky that I am married and I'm in a supportive relationship and my partner is super, on board with everything that I'm doing. But I can totally understand how that wouldn't be feasible for everybody. And so I did a clean break from the corporate world. That's obviously a place of privilege and not a lot of people get to do that. But I would say that, it was a good learning, something that I'm continuously on the journey of. And I wouldn't say that it gets easier, so to speak, but it definitely shifts. So you learn to be more adaptable, you learn to be a bit more savvy. But in terms of like the day-to-day running of a business compared to being an employee, I love it because I love to be, a leader. I love to be in control of everything and I love to have that creative say as well. So I love that part of it.
That is so fantastic. And you seem to be doing an amazing job. So I'm so glad you found this. I'm so glad I get to talk to you today.
Thank you so much.
So how do you maintain a work-life balance?
The million-dollar question. Honestly, a lot of intentional habits. I'm very big on health and wellness, making sure I move my body every day in some capacity, finding the things I know that I love. For example, I love reformer Pilates. So that's like a non-negotiable for me. I have to go and I notice the difference when I don't. But being in a good mindset is everything. And I'm not going to lie and sit here and say that, I'm always happy and I'm always in a good mindset because that's just not humanity. And it does come with ups and downs, but how you kind of maintain that balance, I don't think that there's such thing. I do think that as a business owner, 90% of your life is dedicated to it, which is why I think it's important that your business is your purpose, not just your business in that sense.
Some really good advice. So what is your favorite part of running your own business?
I think, honestly, the creativity. I know a lot of people or a lot of business coaches and things like that will tell you that being stuck in the creative, fun part of business is procrastination. I tend to disagree with that because for me, that brings me joy and I do like the creative side. I like the social media. I obviously like marketing as it's my previous career. And so I guess I like the freedom to play, to have fun with it, and to also develop and ideate. I'm very much an innovator in that way. And I like to think of new things and I do like to reinvent the wheel. I've created my own parenting methodology because I'm like, that is what drives me. That's what gives me purpose. That's what I love. And once I have those, ideas and things, then how that flows into like the everyday workings of a business, it can be draining, but to me, I think that's what keeps me going and what I like about it.
You do seem like a very creative person and your social media looks amazing.
Thank you.
How do you stay in touch with the motivation you had when you first started?
I actually would say that you don't. I know it's a big call, but I would actually say that the start of anything new, you think about you start a new book or you start a new activity or you start going to the gym. There's always going to be a natural decline in motivation. I don't think you can rely on motivation in business. I think it has to be more than that, which is why I go deeper into that. Okay, this is my purpose. Consistently reminding myself in those harder moments, I'm doing this for a reason. What is my reason? What is my mission, values? All of those things, I consistently remind myself of them. I guess that's how I motivate myself. But I also like to reflect and think back to, okay, so at the start, you've got all this momentum and then maybe it drops off and things don't go as you had planned. And that happens a lot. And you've got to pick yourself back up and go again. I've rebranded twice since I started. So you do go through ebbs and flows, you change your mind. And I think that's okay. And I also think it's okay to be unmotivated and to seek motivation externally.
Some really good advice. I know a lot of people that need to hear that.
Yeah, it's a hard one to hand the reins to someone else. As a coach myself, I can't claim to be a good coach if I'm not coachable. So I have my own coach and they help me and motivate me and keep me on path. And when I am having one of those days where I'm like, nothing's working, like it's just not going how I envisaged, they get on the phone with me and they're like, but just take a moment, think about all the things that you've got going on, think about where you were, where you are now. Yeah, it just gives you that push when you need it.
What advice would you give to young people about building confidence or resilience when starting new projects or businesses?
It's a really good question. I've thought about this a lot because I've been asked it once before And I thought about my answer and I was like, I actually would change it slightly in that I think when you're building a business, particularly as a young person, you do have that initial excitement and gun ho. And I think when I built those first few businesses when I was a lot younger, you do get into this mentality of go, 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 do it all, invest everything, smash it out, get it going as fast as possible. I would actually say slow everything down is the core message here. Slow everything down so that you can build confidence. You can meet incremental milestones. I know it sounds boring. My ADHD brain hates it, but it does seriously make a difference because you have time to build things in a way where they actually have concrete foundations rather than slapping things together and Band-Aid methoding along the way. You're actually setting yourself up for massive growth rather than starting and you see this a lot with startups, right? Where they start really quickly and then when it's time to grow and scale, they can't because they don't have the infrastructure. So I would say build your infrastructure, spend time and effort on that, even if it might not look pretty and might be a bit boring. Do that stuff first because you will feel more confident going forward. And then in terms of resilience, I would say get curious. And everything I do is with curiosity. So I may mention it a fair bit today, but if you get curious about what motivates you, what things you can use, and just plan for things to go wrong. Because if you think that everything's going to be sunshine and rainbows being a business owner, stop now, because that's definitely not the case. You are going to have hard moments. And even if you're the most successful person in the world, you could chat with them and they could tell you about 1,000 times when they needed to be resilient. So I think it's not so much about never falling down. It's about, being willing to look at the setbacks and go, what does this show me? What can I learn from this? And then in those messy moments, just going, this is okay. I accept it for what it is. And I'm actually doing really well regardless.
Very, very helpful as a young person. How can teens balance ambition and creativity with everyday challenges like school, family, or peer pressure?
One of the biggest things I've learned with this is authenticity is important. And the famous quote that I use all the time, pretty much every day with every single one of my clients is, what other people think of you is none of your business. And honestly, that's where you're going to be able to shine. If you stop thinking about or consistently having in the back of your mind what other people are thinking about you, you're going to be able to shine. Particularly in Australia, we have tall poppy syndrome. We love it, don't we? It's the best.
It's so fun.
So fun. And I feel like a lot of my clients are in the US, right? And I talk to them about this concept and they just go, what? I don't understand. And I'm like, yeah, try growing up with it. Try being a teenager and then having that on top of it. Like, no thanks.
Exactly.
Yeah. Like, how are you supposed to be an ambitious, driven person without seeming like basically a wanker? Being creative, celebrating your wins, shining bright when people are just consistently stamping you down and telling you to be humble and, don't share your successes, don't share the things that you're doing really well in life. And I would just challenge that and flip it on its head and say, just be authentically you, however that looks. And you don't have to be liked by everybody. I recently had someone very, very high up in the motivational speaking world tell me that I was an acquired taste. No, I was like,
the best compliment
in front of hundreds of people. And I actually said to him, thank you. That's the nicest thing that anyone's ever said to me, because I'm not on this earth to please everybody, but I am here to be me. And so, yeah, you don't have to be someone else for different people. I think when it comes to, ambition, creativity, whether you want to start a business or whether you're just thinking about getting through the day at school, being you will help with everything, because as soon as you start leaning into that authentic part of you, you're going to be able to address things easier, right? Let's say bullying. If someone's bullying you and you're taking this perspective of authenticity and what other people think of me is none of my business, you're going to be able to come back from that a lot quicker than if you're consistently absorbing other people's perceptions. So, I mean, I could go really philosophically deep on this, but yeah, I'm just very, very a big believer in that. You can't please everyone and you shouldn't try to.
That's amazing. I like the way you summed it up. What are some practical ways parents and mentors can support young entrepreneurs without taking over their ideas?
I definitely see parents that get too involved or they're just not supportive. I would say the best way to support is to ask questions in ways that are not interrogating, but curious, because you're showing genuine interest, right? You're showing genuine interest. You're not interrogating like, oh, what are you going to do if this happens? Or how are you going to manage your finances or whatever? You're asking questions that are curious in nature because you're invested in their idea. You want to know more. Oh, where can I listen to this? Or where can I learn more about this? And then let them talk to you about what is exciting them. Let them open up to you about their business and be genuinely interested to listen and not fix. Because I think that's the biggest thing that parents in particular jump to is when their child is running a business, or, you know, even my parents, when something's like not ideal or something hasn't gone to plan, they immediately go into, well, how can we fix it? What can we do? And it's like, actually, there's nothing to fix. It's just part of business and that's okay. And so just being open to the possibility that there will be failings and that's okay, and to not make a big deal of it, but to ask questions and say, well, let's move forward together. We'll support you. What ideas do you have? And just being there for the brainstorming process. I think one of the biggest challenges that young people have when they're starting businesses, myself included, is that you're alone and you just need someone to bounce ideas off. Like I will consistently call my mom and be like, so this opportunity's popped up. I just want to talk about it with you. You don't have to reply, but I just need to sounding board it with you. And she probably has no idea what I'm talking about half the time, but she's there. And at the end of the day, she'll go, what do you think? How are you feeling about that particular thing? And I'll go, yeah, I think I'm going to say yes. Or no, I'm not going to say yes, you know? So it's just about asking those open questions, listening, encouraging. And when things don't go right, because they will probably go wrong more often than not, just know that from mistakes comes growth. And as a mentor or a parent or whoever you are in that person's life, we're not here to judge. We're not here to say, oh, well, that didn't go well. We're here to say on to the next thing. So that would be, some more practical ways to support.
That seems very, very helpful. I would enjoy that.
Yeah, because it's easy to be critical. I think that's the easiest. It's like when they say, frowning uses more muscles than smiling, but lots of people spend their day frowning or upset, and it's actually cheaper on your skin to smile. So similar thing, right? It's free to be kind and not critical.
Yeah, definitely. I would like to thank Mel White for joining me on this episode of the podcast. I'm sure our listeners have taken away many lessons and insights from you. I also want to thank our listeners for listening to this episode and supporting the podcast. You can find out more about Mel and her business at www.melwhiteparentcoach.com.
Thank you for listening to the Youngpreneurs podcast. Like this episode? Remember to subscribe and leave us a review. And join us in the Youngpreneur Society, a community for young entrepreneurs to explore the world of business. youngpreneursociety.com